Go for it.
We got to, you know, hold the console in our hands just before we started as well. The one thing I can't lie, the one thing, and I said this to you as well, was the one thing I wanted to see more than the actual physical console in itself was the actual Pro controller.
Yeah.
And that was literally the first thing I picked up. I didn't even look at a Switch. I looked at the controller, and like I've said from before, like the Nintendo's Pro controller is my favorite console controller.
Yeah, me saying
like because it just feels nice to hold. To me, it's always been sort of like a crossbreed of the Xbox controller and the PlayStation controller in a sense. Like
it's interesting because like Nintendo's controllers are like the
I think
original.
you mentioned this before.
Yeah.
As well, yeah.
And I'm not saying like that's what the intention was or like that's what everyone else will agree with me on.
When you look at the GameCube.
Yeah, no, exactly. But like,
what I mean?
yeah. But what I'm saying is, for me personally,
From your point of view.
It just that's what it feels like, because I always preferred the layout of how the Pro controller and the Xbox controller is, which is the analog stick at the top with the buttons down at the bottom, innit? Yeah. But like, I never used to like how big the actual Xbox controller was, like in terms of how
the original one was too chunky.
That's what I'm saying.
It was massive.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So they had to do the slimmer version.
Yeah.
I remember the change. Cause I still had the bigger ones. Probably my brother's house. They still had them.
Oh,
yeah.
They're so big. Man.
Yeah.
Okay, I would know about that.
So like, and I was never a fan of that. And then with the PlayStation controllers, my only qualms with the PlayStation controller, obviously they've always had this, and I'm used to it anyway. Is the button layout and the analog sticks being down there. Like I've never had an issue with it. It's just my preference would be the other way around. That's what I'm saying. Do you know what I mean?
It's interesting for me because literally everyone has it the other way around.
Yeah.
Even when they have like replicas, it's always the other way around.
Yeah.
It's only Sony who are like that.
But let me ask you this though,
Are we saying that? I'm pretty sure one of the Wii controllers have it like that as well.
Oh, they do, yeah. The original Wii Classic controller, that one has it like that too, which was strange.
But what I wanted to say,
which is good.
Yeah, smart.
But what I want to say though is that, like, wasn't it Sony that bought a console out with the analog sticks on it first before any other console?
With an analog stick?
No, I think there've been analog sticks before, but maybe not two. They used to have one.
No, but I'm talking about. Let me rephrase it. Yeah.
Okay, go.
Yeah.
Go.
What I mean is in modern day consoles with the controllers, right? Yeah, with the analog stick, right, and how we know what controllers to be now, right? Wasn't Sony the first one to do that, in the sense?
If you're talking about with two analog sticks,
yeah,
I think it is them.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
PS1 they rebranded
the
controller.
I think it was PS1 the first one. I believe.
Yeah.
But I'm certain that it's Nintendo that had the first analog stick
on a controller.
64, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I'm saying I'm not talking about like just the first console with a controller, because I know that would be Nintendo. But what I'm saying is what we know as a controller now with the layouts and like what's on there.
I think it is. Yeah, it would be the PS1.
Yeah. I think they had the first dual one. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because before that, people only had one.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good. I mean,
so
evolutionized.
Then technically they're the first ones to do it. So like technically,
they
way they do it isn't wrong or I don't want to say wrong or right for anyone.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Do you know what I'm saying? But like they were the first ones to do it. It was just that other like Microsoft and Nintendo then obviously innovated on it.
Yeah, they
and it shows a different path.
Yeah.
Because I remember like with this 64 controller, which is kind of funny, is you got the stick in the middle, you got the D-pad on the left. I don't even know how the fuck you were using the D-pad. But on the right side, you had your A and B button.
You had
these yellow buttons, which basically worked as the second analog stick.
Analog stick, yeah.
It was weird. Like, the thing is, the controller's built in a way that it would work for some games and not other games. Like, puzzle games, you'd hold it like that.
Yeah, it just makes sense, innit? So you could just...
Yeah, but action games... Eventually, you'd hold it like this
in the middle,
stick.
Yeah.
So
with the racing games, I used to love.
It's clever, but it's like over designed because you didn't need that.
Yeah,
you can just do it how PlayStation did it.
So ridiculous.
How Nintendo changed in the GameCube.
Yeah. GameCube was just.
Yeah. Coming back to what you're saying about controllers, like I've always loved Nintendo controllers. Like N64, I think N64 was okay. It wasn't my favorite. GameCube though, I think GameCube was almost perfect. Elite. Honestly, it's such a good controller.
I never owned a GameCube so that I can say that GameCube controller. You know what I mean? If anything, right? Yeah, I'll be completely honest with you. That's the controller that I found the most out there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because even when you look at it, right, I know the whole controller in itself looks different from what at the time a lot of people were used to.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Because even even the right analog stick and the left analog stick, both different sizes as well and everything. They weren't even like they were both the same.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Stick. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And even the bumper buttons on there was different because they were spring loaded. I think if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
They weren't like normal buttons that we were used to.
PlayStation used to have that as well, actually.
Yeah, but like,
they had buttons and they had.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Well, we had the Z, but we didn't have his ZR and ZL. That was the difference.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's what I'm saying. So like that controller in itself changed a lot of things. I think in that sense as well. And I don't know now. I don't know if they're spring loaded now in any way. They're not, are they?
Not in Nintendo ones, but PlayStation they are, aren't they?
I'm not too sure. They feel it. They feel like it when I'm using them.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I've
I
heard that.
I'll be honest. I don't know. I don't know if
it's just the Pro version or the original PlayStation version, but I heard that there's mechanisms where developers can control it. So depending on the game, it can be spring loaded or just analog. Or digital, where you just click it.
Oh, like depending on how you press it, or
yeah, depending on the game, they can enable or disable the feature.
That's okay. You saying that right, yeah, is literally like triggering a memory because there was one time, yeah, I remember I was just in my room, I was just playing Monster Hunter, but was it Monster Hunter? It might have been Formula 1, and I noticed like the button, right, yeah, like the triggers,
Yeah.
they felt different to what I was used to at the time. So I think there was for that game, it definitely adjusted it. Yeah, because there's times when I press the trigger in, it doesn't go all the way.
Yeah.
And then there's times when I do press it, it goes all the way in.
Well, you know what's kind of like, I'm surprised to hear you say that because when the PS5 first dropped, that was one of their main things, that controller.
Oh, really?
How interactive the controller is.
Okay.
Because I'm even hearing like on certain FPS games, when you're holding the trigger, it feels like you're actually shooting.
Yeah.
They even had that game.
Imagine you're done with the bow, right?
Yeah, all sorts, like different games.
Yeah.
Like the developers can take advantage and make it feel like, okay, you're actually doing what they're doing in the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
What's that game of the year that we were complaining about? PlayStation.
Astro Boy.
Oh,
Astro Boy, yeah.
You know when they
Or
first,
Astro Bot, sorry, not Bot.
you know when they first dropped the PS5, they had that game built, was it with the PS5?
Oh yeah, so it used to
the
be
original one.
Yeah. In that game,
Yeah.
it takes you through all that and how interactive the controller is.
Okay.
So
And unlike Nintendo, they didn't charge us for that because that came with the actual
Yeah, that's true.
And then they actually released a full game that won game of the year.
I can't lie, you know, we sports, but let's not get into that. Let's not start. Yeah.
But no, like I think a lot of the times like controllers get sort of overlooked in the sense for like a console, just because everyone just expects the controller to just do its job and that's it, really.
I mean, you get used to it because that mechanism that you talked about, no one's talking about it now, but it was a big thing at the time.
Yeah.
Now everyone's just used to it. It's just second nature.
Like, look, I didn't even know that it was a thing like that. Do you know what I mean?
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
And speaking of controllers, so you know how you're saying with Sony they had like the two different controllers or whatever it was. I think you briefly mentioned it just then.
You talked about it earlier. The Pro one,
bro. The Pro controller, I will never ever in my life, like the PlayStation Pro controller, guys. Unless you have two bills, just to splash like that, right? Because I think that's how much it cost roughly last time I checked.
Yeah, £200.
There you go.
That's a lot of money.
Like why you would want to pay that much, I would never know. And you know, like the thing is £200. You know that's like 2/3 of a PS5 Slim.
That's true. In their defense, Pro controllers normally cost about that much. I'm not saying it's
when you say Pro controllers, do you mean all Pro controllers from any brand?
Okay,
or
Pro controllers from Xbox and PlayStation.
Okay, all right, okay.
Because Nintendo don't do those extra upgrades.
Yeah.
The Pro controller, but their Pro controller is the standard controller.
Yeah.
Basically,
exactly.
it's just called Pro.
Yeah.
But this one is literally the Pro controller.
It's got a lot of extra features and things like that as well.
Yeah.
Which, don't get me wrong, like I'm not saying those features aren't cool and things like that, right? Yeah.
So you wouldn't put $2
Onto it. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Because I think even like, for example, like a scuff controller, their basic scuff controllers, yeah. This was years ago when I looked at scuff controllers last, but they will be like maybe 80, 90 pounds, something like that, and you can get like extra buttons and things like that. And I think depending on how much you customize it will determine the price of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like £2, bro, for
it's mad, fam.
It's crazy.
It's mad, fam.
It's crazy. I remember when they announced the PlayStation 5 Pro, I looked into it straight away just to see how much it would cost and things like that. Like, and I saw the price of the controller. I was just like, nah,
leave it, yeah.
Leave that out. Unless someone gifts me that controller, I'm not even gonna look in its direction like that.
Bro, I don't blame you. And it's interesting because the Pro controller, I mean, I'm looking at the battery life because that was a big thing with PlayStation controller. The battery life is atrocious. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I think original is probably like what? I think 3 to 8 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
The Pro controller is only 6 to 12.
Like the actual Pro, like the one with the PS5 Pro comes out. Okay. Because I'm gonna be real with you, yeah.
£200.
Because I know, like initially when the PlayStation came out, the controller's life was like ass, like it was ass.
But PlayStation controllers are known to be like that. So PS4 at least, or maybe 3.
And I don't know if it's just me or not yet, but I don't notice it. That's the only thing. Like obviously, I don't have the original release date PlayStation 5, right? Yeah, I've got one that's.
Do you keep yours plugged in?
No, that's the thing. Like, I will literally only plug it in when the pop-up comes up to say, and then I'll maybe charge it for like half an hour or so, like, and it's back to full charge. And like,
oh, nice.
Do you know what I'm saying? I don't, and this is while I'm using it as well. Do you know what I'm saying? And I don't know if it's just because, so I don't use the wire and everything that you get with the console and everything, innit? Because it's a USB-C. I just use my phone. I just use my phone's charger.
Whatever's available.
Yeah, right, like what's right there, and it's my phone charger most of the time, innit? And that's a fast charger as well. So I just pop that in, half an hour. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I ain't got no. Yeah, so that can definitely probably have an influence on the battery life and then also how quickly it charges and everything like that. But I'll be real with you. I never really noticed. Because I know, like, Leonard, that was one of the first things you mentioned to me when I bought my PlayStation. Like, the controller life.
The battery life.
Yeah, I'm also wondering if maybe you're used to PlayStation battery life. Because I think it's always kind of been a bit low. Like, I think it does say 6 to 12 hours now. I don't know if it's changed. Before I heard it was really low.
Okay.